Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hi everyone. Let's get together and sing. So much for us. God has given us every good thing, every good blessing. But even more than that, He's given us an inner joy that causes us to be able to laugh. And that's what this song's about. I once was dead, my spirit cold. I had no joy, far from the fold. Messiah came. Made me sing, oh, He put laughter into my soul. Oh, come, let's sing, let us rejoice. Oh, come, let's sing, let us rejoice. Messiah's come, and He brought joy. Oh, He's brought laughter into my soul. Long ago they promised He'd bring us light. Long ago they promised He'd bring us light, a light to lighten poor wandering feet. But He brought laughter into my soul. Oh, come, let's sing, let us rejoice. Oh, come, let's sing, let us rejoice. Messiah's come, and He brought joy. Oh, He brought laughter into my soul. It would have been enough had He brought light. It would have been enough had He brought peace. It would have been enough had He brought love. But He brought laughter into my soul. Oh, come, let's sing, let us rejoice. Oh, come, let's sing, let us rejoice. Messiah's come, and He brought joy. Oh, He's brought laughter into my soul. This is the song which first introduced me to Hebrew, so just go with it. You know, if you don't know Hebrew, that will just go with it. Say the words like they sound here, and you'll hear them us sing them. Just try it. If you're not a Hebrew speaker, it's kind of fun to make the sounds, and I'll tell you what it means later. I don't know, let me just tell you now. It means, behold how good and pleasant it is for brethren and sistren to dwell together in unity. So that's the whole theme of this song. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, לה 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 לה, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, לה 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 לה, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, לה 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 לה, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, לה 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 לה, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, לה 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 לה, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, לה 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 לה. See, that's how we teach. We get the sound and we go faster and faster and faster. It just falls off the lips very easily. So, behold how good and pleasant it is to dwell together in unity. All of us. Had a good meeting with Patrice about music. We're going to start introducing some new music, maybe one every couple of weeks or so, and we'll keep practicing it and do it over and over again. Some new songs. New to us, not necessarily new off the top of the hit list, the Jewish Top 40 or something. But, hi, it's Peach and Peach. Hi, sweetie. Good to see you. Okay, so... Do it in English, and then we do it in Hebrew, and then we do it in English and Hebrew again. Bayamim hachem to the Yehuda, Yerushalayim is gonna take time. Bayamim hachem to the Yehuda, Yerushalayim is gonna take time. It's a Yitrala, it's a Yitrala. Adonai Tzidkeinu, Adonai Tzidkeinu, Adonai Tzidkeinu, Tzidkeinu, Adonai Tzidkeinu, Adonai Tzidkeinu, Adonai Tzidkeinu, Tzidkeinu. Now in English. In those days, Judah shall be saved, Jerusalem shall dwell in safety. In those days, Judah shall be saved, and Jerusalem shall dwell in safety. Now this is the name by which it shall be called. This is the name by which it shall be called. The Lord our righteousness, the Lord our righteousness, the Lord our righteousness, our righteousness, the Lord our righteousness, the Lord our righteousness, the Lord our righteousness, our righteousness. Hebrew again.
want to turn it off. And it says, are you sure you want to turn it off? Yes, just turn it off. Pet peeves with technology. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm going to turn on the Rabbi's handy light here because it's very helpful. All right, we have some announcements. The UMG Summer Conference is coming up, and so we've discussed that a few times, but you still have an opportunity to attend. That's that third week in July. It's over in Orlando. Lots of people will be going. I'll be here, hold the fort down. So you can go to the conference, go to the conference. Otherwise, you can come and we'll still have Shabbat. We're doing pretty good with that 7:30, 7:25 start time. So let's keep up that good work. Information on how to reach the seminary there. We have another Vimeo announcement. Have you ever wondered about the what or the why or the how in the various parts of Shabbat or holiday services? Or have you forgotten their meanings? Then you should check out the last session or two of the membership classes on the Vimeo link. You'll find out how to make our times together on Friday night even more meaningful and encounter with God. So is that available? Let's see. So we've been announcing for a while that dreaded flood insurance payment that comes at the end of June. So let's all take a deep breath. Let it out. Thank you, Sheila. We made the payment. We put $1,300 in the roof that was leaking in the Shabbat school room. Got done. Some of those other things we were going to do with that money, we still have to think about that. So good news. There's good news and bad news. We made good progress, but we're not done. So anything you can continue to do would be really appreciated. Other than that, we have our usual reminders, which you can take note of, but not during the sermon. And just stay up to date. And thank you for being here. Shabbat Shalom.
As we begin our services together this evening, if you join us on pages 14 to 25 for Lakado D, it reminds us of what a special privilege it is to celebrate Shabbat, to welcome Shabbat literally. We will do that as we stand and face the door as if we are actually welcoming Shabbat. And Richard will lead us and we will respond to him. Wonderful imagery here, not only of Shabbat and its glimpse into the Messianic age, but some wonderful Messianic reflections as well. Shabbat's a wonderful experience. This helps to make it our personal experience with God. Pages 14 and 25.
Shabbat nakabela. Echadodi likrat haba, b'nei Shabbat nakabela. Lechadodi likrat haba, b'nei Shabbat nakabela. Lechadodi likrat haba, b'nei Shabbat nakabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Yishmianu el hamyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem ultiferet v'litila. Lechadodi, Lechadodi likrat haba, b'nei Shabbat nakabela. Lekadodili Kratala, B'nei Shabbat Nekabela. Lekrat Shabbat lechuven elcha, Ki mekor habracha. Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof maaseh b'mat Shabbat chila. Lekadodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lekadodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Itna'ari me'afar kubi, B'shit b'dei tifartecha mi. Al yad ben Yeshai beit halachmi, Harba el nafshe b'Allah. Lekadodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lekadodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitorari, Iva orakumi ori shir deberi, Kevod Adonai alayich nigva. Lekadodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lekadodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Ohi v'shalom ataret bala, Am b'simcha u'tzala, Toch emunei am segula, Bo'ichala. Lekadodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lekadodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Come, my friend, meet the bride. Let's welcome the presence of the Sabbath. Observe and remember, in a single statement, the unique God caused us to hear his command. He alone is Lord, and his name is unique to his fame and splendor and praise. Come, my friends, meet the bride. Let's welcome the presence of the Sabbath. Let's go to meet the Sabbath, for she is the source of blessing from the beginning, anointed from ancient days, though may last, conceived first. Come, my friend, meet the bride. Let's welcome the presence of the Sabbath. Shake the dust off yourself. Arise, dress in garments of glory, my people. Jesse's son, the Bethlehemite, draws near, bringing us redemption. Come, my friend, meet the bride. Let's welcome the presence of the Sabbath. Wake up, your light is come. Arise, shine, awake, awake. Sing a grand song. The glory of God is revealed to you. Come, my friend, meet the bride. Let's welcome the presence of the Sabbath. Come in peace, crown of your Lord. Come with joy and with cheer. Come to the faithful among the chosen people. Come, bride, come. Come, my friend, meet the bride. Let's welcome the presence of the Sabbath.
You may be seated. Shabbat is truly a unique opportunity to encounter our God, to come into his presence and experience him. And if we do, then hopefully we will experience also that the glory of God is revealed to us in a special way.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvoto, v'tzivanu blessed are you, our God, King of the universe, who's given us the command to write candles of Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvoto v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, O Lord our God. No, my apologies. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvoto v'tzivanu lehiyot or el goyim v'natan lanu Yeshua Meshachenu ha-or la-olam. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who has sanctified us by your commandments and commanded us to be a light for the nations, and gave us Yeshua our Messiah, the light of the world. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.
Shabbat is a time where we get to experience God's presence. It's a reality that was clearly observable as our people wandered through the wilderness, hand in hand with God as they walked with him. And the prophet, that strange prophet, realized that as he penned these words, Ma tovu ohalech. How goodly are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. Why? Because God is among you. And so that becomes our response, and hopefully the reality we experience as well in pages 144 and 145.
Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ani barov chazdecha avo betecha eshtachave elechol tarshecha b'yiratecha. Ani barov chazdecha avo betecha eshtachave elechol tarshecha b'yiratecha. Adonai, ahavti ma'on betecha, u'makom nishtam kibalecha. Va'ani eshtachave, ve'echra'a evracha lifnei Adonai osi. Va'ani tefillati lecha, Adonai eit ratzon. Elohim, v'rov chazdecha, aneni be'emet yishek. How goodly are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. O Lord, through your abounding faithful love, I come into your house, and reverently I worship you in your holy sanctuary. I love being in your house, the place where your glory resides. Here I bow down to worship you, my Lord and Maker. Accept my prayer, O Lord, and answer with your great mercy and with your saving truth. Amen. And together, how lovely are your tabernacles, O Lord of hosts. I long, yes, I pine for the courts of the Lord. My heart joyfully sings to the living God. One thing have I asked of the Lord, that I will pursue, that I may live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the graciousness of the Lord, and to enter his sanctuary. Teach me your way, O Lord, and lead me in the right path. With you is the fountain of life. In your light do we see light.
Reverently, I worship you in your holy sanctuary. May I get to enter your sanctuary. That's exactly what we do as we now join on for our Tehillat Habrit Kadashah portion this evening, found on pages 1536, 1537 in your Bibles, the two Bibles. We find ourselves in the presence of the God of the universe, in his throne room, so to speak, as we respond. And we will do it as we normally do when we utilize this section. You get the parts that are indented and in quotation marks. I'll take the parts that are not. Pages 1536 and 1537 in the Pew Bible are Tehillat Habrit Kadashah portion, Revelation 4, 2-11. Text begins, "U'regah hayiti v'ruach v'hinei kisei nir'ach v'shamayim ve'achad yoshev al kisei." I was there in heaven. Before me stood a throne, and on the throne someone was sitting. The one sitting there gleamed like diamonds and rubies, and a rainbow shining like an emerald encircled the throne. Surrounding the throne were 24 other thrones, and on those thrones sat 24 elders. From that throne came forth lightnings and voices and thundering, and before the throne were 7 flaming torches. In front of the throne was a sea of glass, clear as crystal. In the center, around the throne, were 4 living beings, verse 8. Each of the 4 living beings had 6 wings, and day and night they never stopped saying,
Holy, holy, holy is Adonai, God of heaven's armies, the one who was, who is, and who is coming.
And whenever the living beings give glory, honor, and thanks to the one sitting on the throne, to the one who lives forever and ever, the 24 elders fall down before the one sitting on the throne, who lives forever and ever, and they worship him. They throw their crowns in front of the throne as they say,
You are worthy, Adonai Elohim, to have glory, honor, and power, because you created all things. Yes, because of your will they were created and came into being.
Those praises continue now as we turn to pages 156 and 157 for Sephardi Cottage. As you turn there, I want you to notice what you said. The one who was, who is, and who is coming. In other words, the coming one. The Afikomen, as the term is literally translated during the Passover Seder. Keep that in mind as you listen and respond to the words of Sephardi Cottage.
Ve'al medivrach kirutei, ve'amlech malchutei, ve'yatzmach purkanei, v'karev meshechei, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei l'kol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'bizman kariv imru amen. Yehesh meraba mavorach, ve'ol adolo me'olaya yitvarach. Yehesh meraba mavorach, ve'olam ulol me'omaya yitvarach. V'yishtabach v'yitar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal. Shmei d'Kudeshah barichu. Be'ela min kol birchata, v'shirata, tushbekata, v'nehemata, v'amiran be'alma, v'imru amen. Yehesh l'amar rabbein shemaya, v'chayim tovim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromah, Ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen.
Glorified and sanctified be his great name in the world which is created according to his will. May he bring about the reign of his kingdom and cause his salvation to sprout, and bring near his Messiah in your lifetime and in your days, and in the life of all the house of Israel, speedily, yes, soon, and say,
Amen.
May his great name be blessed forever and forever, eternally. Blessed and praised, glorified and exalted, extolled and honored, adored and lauded be the name of the Holy One. Blessed be he, who is high above, far above all blessings and hymns and praises and consolations which are spoken in the world, and say, Amen. May there be great peace from heaven, and good life for us, and for all Israel, and say, Amen. He who makes peace in the heavenly realms, may he make peace for us and for all Israel, and say,
Amen.
May he bring near his Messiah in your lifetime and in your days, is what we responded. As we await that time, we entered that throne room scene yet again, where he awaits that time as well. We respond on pages 40 and 41 with Elohim Asher. And we get to encounter that experience that was envisioned by the sages of old, of not one throne in heaven, but thrones in heaven, one of which is occupied by the Messiah himself. Pages 40 and 41.
Elohim asher diber mikadem be'amim rabot uvidrakim rabot el ha'avot be'yad ha'nevi'im v'yimer aleinu be'acharit hayamim ha'eleh be'yad ha'bein asher samleh Olamim, Uzohar Mevodo, Betzelem Asmuto, Venaseh Kol Bidavaro, Rav Hagavora, Ulakah She'asa, Tihur Katayim, Yashav In the past, God spoke to our fathers through the prophets at many times in various ways. But now, in the end of days, he has spoken to us by the Messiah, his Son, whom he appointed the heir of all things, and through whom he made the universe. The Son is the full radiance of God's glory, and the flawless manifestation of his reality. He sustains all things by his powerful word. After he made atonement for sins, he sat down in the place of authority, beside the majesty in heaven. True and firm, established and lasting, right and faithful, loved and treasured, desired and pleasant, feared and mighty, ordered and acceptable, good and beautiful is this word to us forever and ever.
As we reflect on these things and the reality we get to experience, if we choose to, then our response should be forthcoming as it is on pages 44 and 45. Who is a God like you? There's none like you. Glorious in holiness, awesome in praise, and doing wonders. That becomes our response on those pages. Richard leads and then we respond, but the text begins. Praise our exalted God. Blessed is he who is to be blessed. Moses and the people of Israel sang this song to you with great joy. As they all said, now we all say together,
Who is like you, O Lord, among the gods? Who is like you, glorious in holiness, awesome in praises, doing wonders?
Mi kamocha b'Elim Adonai, Mi kamocha ne'ar b'kodesh, Nora Tehilot Osefele.
We rise now as we answer the question we raised, and we respond, Ein Kamoka, truly there is none like you, O Lord, among the gods. Pages 88 and 89. Once again, Richard leads and we respond.
Ein Kamoka Elohim Adonai, Ein Kamaaseka, Malchut Kamachut Kol Olamim, Umemshavcha B'Kol Dor, Bekol Dor Vador. Adonai Melech, Adonai Malach, Adonai Nimelech Le'olam Vaed, Adonai Host Le'amo Yitein, Adonai Yevarech et Amo B'Shalom.
There is none like you among the gods, my Lord, and there is nothing that compares to your deeds. Your kingdom is a kingdom that endures for all eternity, and your sovereignty extends throughout all generations. The Lord reigns, the Lord has reigned, the Lord shall reign throughout eternity. The Lord will bless his people with peace.
We said the Lord reigns, the Lord has reigned, the Lord shall reign throughout eternity, and now we say, you, the Lord, I want you to reign over my life permanently. That response is the Shema, pages 34 to 39, as we now face Jerusalem, the direction of the ark, and utilize those words to respond to our God.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Vaed, Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, B'chol levacha, B'chol nafshecha, B'chol me'odecha, Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh, Asher Elohim nitzavcha yom ha'levahecha, V'shinantam levanecha, V'dibartam, V'shivtecha bebeitecha, U'lechecha l'derech, U'shakbecha u'komecha, U'shartam le'otam yadecha, Ve'hayu l'todachot ve'einecha, U'kamatam al mezuzot beitecha, U'visharecha. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God,
The Lord alone. Blessed be he whose glorious kingdom is eternal.
Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your life, and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as reminders on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates.
The reality that we've just expressed for ourselves, and hopefully the reality we've entered into, is the reality we wish for our people and all the world ultimately to experience. And so we respond with paragraph 5 of the Amidah as we invite the Lord to return his presence to Zion. Pages 74 to 77 utilize those words to express that anticipation and whatever else accompanies it in your heart and your response. And may it be our eyes that behold your return to Zion with mercy. Blessed are you, O Lord, who returns your presence to Zion. And we continue in that same anticipation as we turn now to pages 88 and 89. We anticipate that time when truly, as the text says, from Zion will go forth the Torah, the word of the Lord out of Jerusalem.
If you can read it.
Time.
Thank you.
Nations come up and worship the Lord. And we join together with them, or they join together with us. Pages 88.
Hivin so Aaron, Mayamer Moshe, Adonai vayafutzu hoivaka veyadusu mesanecha mipanecha. Ki mitzion teisei Torah, Ki mitzion teisei Torah, Urevar Adonai Mirushalayim. Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah, Le'amo Yisrael B'Kedushato. And it came to pass, whenever the ark went forward, Moses would say, Arise, O Lord, and let your enemies be scattered. May those who hate you flee from before you.
For from Zion shall go forth the Torah, and the word of the Lord out of Jerusalem.
Blessed be he who in holiness gave the Torah to his people Israel.
Having given to us the Torah, we now respond to the treasure, the gift he's given to us. That response is page 133.
The ark now unveils its treasure.
To
Our eyes and minds and hearts.
Inside, the scroll of Torah stands.
It stands there with all its richness and wisdom.
As we listen, voices speak, voices of our ancestors.
Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Joseph, and Moses.
O God, they bring us your instructions for us.
Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, and Miriam speak to us as well.
O God, they move us to respond to your promises to us.
We are grateful for your words, the words of Torah.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord calls.
We will hear your words that we may learn them, love them,
live them.
What does the Lord require of you? To fear him, love him, serve him, and walk in all his ways.
All the Lord has said, we will do.
Shebarach Avotenu, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. He who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. May he bless James. May he bless Matthew. May he bless Rabbi John. May he bless Claire. And may he bless Vicky, who have come up to honor God and the Torah. May the Holy One bless them and their families, and send blessing and prosperity on all the work of their hands. Baruch
Adonai HaBarak Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lahanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Bless the Lord who is blessed.
Bless the Lord who is blessed forever and ever.
Blessed are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who chose us from all peoples and gave us the Torah. Blessed are you, Lord, giver.
Korach ben Tsar ben Kehat ben Levi Datan Aviram ben Eliav Ron ben Pelet ben Reuven Vayakumu Livnei Moshe Va'anashim Mibnei Yisrael Hamashim Umatayim Nesiei Dah Chayei Moed Anashei Shem Vayikalu Al Moshe V'Aharon Vayomeru Alehem Rav Lechem Ki Kol Haida Kulam Keroshim Uvechocham Adonai Umadua Tinaseu Al Kehol Adonai Vayishama Moshe Vayipol Al Panav. You may be seated. Now Korach, the son of Yitzhar, the son of Kehat, the son of Levi, took Datan and Aviram, the sons of Eliav, and On, the son of Pelet, all being the sons of Reuben, and they rose up before Moses, along with 250 men from the children of Israel, and these were all leaders in the congregation, appointed to council, literally translate men of name, but we would say renowned men, and they gathered against Moses and against Aaron. And they said to them, enough, because all of the congregation, all of them are holy, and Adonai is with them. So why do you put yourselves above the Lord's assembly? And when Moses heard this, he fell upon his face, which I think is a very appropriate response. I think any of us would probably do something similar to that. The Torah goes through great length to tell us that these were all men of position. They were appointed to council. They were educated men. And unfortunately, their wisdom failed them this time. And the rest of the Parsha pretty much goes over the story of Korach and his followers. And of course gives us the resolution of the matter, and then of course the definite decision that God tells Moses to tell the people of, who just is able to serve as priests, and it is of course Aaron's sons. So what can we take away from this portion? Well, I think it's important. I think a major topic here is that we need to make sure that we are educated, that we study Torah, that we follow its guidelines, and we truly understand the Torah for what it is. And if we don't understand, we need to dig deeper and get those answers that we need. And we can do that through the classes coming up this fall. Commercial! So, yeah, so that's about it. Happy hunting, happy studying, and Shabbat Shalom.
Adonai said to Moshe, "Tell Eleazar, the son of Aaron the Kohen, to remove the fire pans from the fire and scatter the smoldering coals at a distance, because they have become holy. Also the fire pans of these men, whose sin cost them their lives, have become holy, because they were offered before Adonai. Therefore have them hammered into plates to cover the altar. This will be a sign for the people of Israel." Eleazar the Kohen took the brass fire pans which the men who had been burned to death had offered, and they hammered them into a covering for the altar, to remind the people of Israel that an ordinary person, not descendant of Aaron, is not to approach and burn incense before Adonai if he wants to avoid the fate of Korach and his group, as Adonai said to him through Moshe. But the very next day, the whole community of the people of Israel complained against Moshe and Aaron. "You have killed Adonai's people." However, as the community was assembling against Moshe and Aaron, they looked in the direction of the tent of meeting and saw the cloud cover it and the glory of Adonai appear. Moshe and Aaron came to the front of the tent of meeting.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who gave us the Torah of truth, life everlasting planted in our midst. Blessed are you, Lord, giver of the Torah.
The reality of the parashah was God was very present among his people. The reality that we now acknowledge is that he was very present among his people when he delivered these words to his people. And as his people stood before him to receive these words, so now we, his people, stand before him to affirm that these are the words we have received. We respond on pages 98 and 99 with the Zod HaTorah. If you need a transliteration, you can find that on page 95.
Zod HaTorah asher sam Moshe Lifnei bnei Yisrael api Adonai beyad Moshe.
This is the Torah which Moses placed before the children of Israel. It is in accord with the Lord's commands by the hand of Moses.
You may be seated. Torah blessings are found on pages 94 to 97.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar b'neviim tovim, v'ratza b'divreihem hane'amerim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai, abocher b'Torah, u'Moshe avdo, u'Yisrael amo, u'Inveyeh ha'emet v'tzedek. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who selected good prophets, delighting in their words which were spoken truthfully. Blessed are you, O Lord, who chose the Torah, your servant Moses, your people Israel, and the prophets of truth and righteousness.
I'll be reading from 1 Samuel. Then Shmuel said to the people, "Come, let's go to Gilgal and inaugurate the kingship there." So all the people went to Gilgal, and there in Gilgal, before Adonai, they made Shaul king. They presented sacrifices as peace offerings before Adonai there, and there Shaul and all the people of Israel celebrated with great joy. Shmuel said to all Israel, "Here, I have done everything you asked me to do. I have made a king over you. There is the king walking ahead of you, but I am old and gray-headed. There are my sons with you, and I have walked at your head from when I was a boy until today. So here I am. Now is the time to witness against me before Adonai and before his anointed king. Does any of you think I have taken your ox or donkey, defrauded or oppressed you, or accepted a bribe to deprive you of justice? Tell me, and I will restore it to you." They answered, "You haven't defrauded or oppressed us, and you have accepted nothing from anyone." He said, "Adonai is witness against you, and his anointed king, and his anointed king is witness against you today, that you have found nothing in my hands." They replied, "He is witness."
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol haolamim, tzadik b'kol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer yoseh, hamdeber k'hayim shekol devarav, emet v'tzedek. נאמן אתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ונאמנים דבריך ודבר אחד מדבריך עקור לא ישוב רחם תהיה מלך נאמן ורחמן אתה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הנאמן בכל דבריו.
Amen.
Blessed are you, O Lord our God, ruler of the universe, rock of all ages, righteous throughout all generations. You are the faithful God, promising and then performing, first speaking, then fulfilling. For all your words are true and righteous. Faithful are you, O Lord our God, and faithful are your words, for no word of yours shall remain unfulfilled. You are a faithful and merciful God and King. Blessed are you, O Lord God, who are faithful in fulfilling your words. Have mercy on Zion. It is the fountain of our life, and very soon deliver her who grieves deeply. Blessed are you, O Lord, who makes Zion rejoice with her children.
And her children now respond.
Make us joyful, O Lord our God, with the prophet Elijah, your servant, and with the kingdom of the house of David, your anointed. May Elijah come soon and bring joy to our hearts. Allow no stranger to sit on David's throne or inherit his glory. For by your holy name you swore to him that his light would not be quenched forever. Blessed are you, O Lord, the shield of David, without night, again.
Words that come from God should impact our lives. We should allow them to sink deeply into our lives, like a tree driving its roots into the ground. Its roots into the ground. And so we respond with Etz Chaim, pages 96 and 97, and we say, renew our days as a word.
Etz Chaim Kazikim Ba Beton Heha Meushar Derakeha Darkei Noah Beton Netivoteha Shalom Hashimeinu Adonai Elecha Bein Shuvah Kadesh Yameinu Kekedem Hashimeinu Adonai Elecha Bein Shuvah Kadesh Yameinu Kekedem. A tree of life it is to those who take hold of it. Happy are those who support it. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. Turn us, Lord, to you, and let us return. Renew our days as of old.
Renewed as of old, we now get to stand before him as his priests. And we literally do stand now as we respond on pages 98 and 99 of Uvnu Ko Yomar, expressing our gratitude and our devotion.
Uvnu Ko Yomar, Shuvan, Adonai Ripavot Alfei Yisro. When the ark rested, Moses would say, return, O Lord, to the myriads of Israel's families.
Arise, O Lord, to your resting place, you and your mighty ark. Clothe your priests with righteousness. May those who experience your faithful love shout for joy. For the sake of your servant David, don't delay the return of your Messiah.
I give you good instruction, do not forsake.
Shabbat school is excused. And now we have the distinct pleasure of hearing the text for the evening unwrapped for us by our own Dr. Patrice.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, now I'm live. Good evening. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So tonight, we're going to concentrate on the Haftarah. The Haftarah is in case you missed the weeks that I mentioned this before, is an accompanying passage of Scripture. So every week we have a portion from the Torah, from the first 5 books of Moses, and the rabbis down through the years have set up different readings that accompany that particular portion of the Torah. And the particular portion of the Torah that we have tonight in Numbers, this is the Haftorah, which basically is Samuel's farewell to the troops, to the nation. And so I've called it Samuel Says Goodbye, or Don't Settle for Any Substitute. I don't even know what product it was, but it used to say, get the original, don't settle for any substitute. Maybe you'll enlighten me a little bit later. That caused me to remember one of a bunch of hit songs from my youth, from my high school experience in the 60s. And this one is written by Pete Townsend, a very undersung hero of rock music in general. He went on with the Who to write Tommy, the rock opera. But this is a very, I wish I could do it with the proper drums accompaniment. But I'm a substitute for another guy, says Pete. I look pretty tall, but my heels are high. The simple things you see are all complicated. I look pretty young, but I'm just backdated. Substitute your lies for fact. I can see right through your plastic Mac, your plastic raincoat. I look all white, but my dad was black. My fine-looking suit is really made out of sack, meaning burlap sack. And it goes on. He's a substitute for another guy, and that's why he's complaining. Nobody wants to be a substitute for the real thing, but many times it's the human inclination. If we can't get it the one way we really want them, we'll bring something else into the picture. Unfortunately, that's the way humans are. Well, this week's Haftarah passage is very dramatic. I don't know if you could get it from the short little part of it that was read. A leader stands in front of the people of Israel. He explains why their choice of leaders in the future will be wrong. And this choice will change everything. He finally says farewell to national political office. Well, this could be a lot of people. It might be Moses. It could be Joshua. It could be Ezra. It could even be Gideon. But it's actually this person, Samuel. Now, the one thing, if they know anything about Samuel as a person, any little tiny detail, they usually know the story of him as like an 8-year-old when he is the one in the tabernacle of Eli who's the only one who hears God speaking. Do you know that story? It's sad and happy at the same time, because for such a small kid, he has an incredible responsibility, because God is really done with the rest of Eli and his family. God is not speaking to them anymore. So from a very young age, Eli could hear God, and he was chosen, and he agreed to be used by God to be a great leader. He's a pivotal person in biblical history, but he's often overlooked except for the one story about him telling Eli he heard God in the middle of the night. He is an inspiring leader. He is a reliable leader. And he's wedged at a time, he lives at a time between the rule of the judges and the establishment of kings in Israel. He's almost like the junction, Malfunction Junction over in Tampa, where all those routes come in together. And somehow they all end up on the roads they wanted to be on. It's really a miracle to me. He's a junction between several great areas of leadership at the same time. Here are his jobs. He's a priest at the tabernacle. He's a prophet. He's a judge. And he is a kingmaker. Now, when you formally study the life of Samuel, which I've had the privilege to do, but I will tell you that many people, theologians, portray him as a divided person. He's troubled. He's torn inside. He's at war with him in himself about this. Why do the people want to have a king? Samuel knows that this national desire for a king is not what God really wants for them. And yet, he goes out and finds them a king. He lays out clearly for the people ahead of time all the ramifications for Israel in the future, and none of the ramifications are good. They involve more taxes, more forced labor, not being able to have your young men be with you because they have to go out and do the forced labor. More money from the government. Sounds like it's ripped from the headlines. And yet honors their choice. He tells them how bad it's going to be, and yet he honors their choice. These two parts of Samuel's life are so distinct that many modern analysts are sure that his story was written by two different authors. One who was for the kingship and one who was against the kingship. Don't believe it. People are way more complicated than one point of view only. Do you have more than one point of view on a single topic? Please say yes.
No. Yes.
Okay, good. In fact, Samuel seems so divided because he is emotionally divided. That's not such an uncommon thing for human beings. I'm going to refer to a movie that's very popular with my family, but I'll tell you later which movie that is. Two heroes. They're both fighting the bad guys. They happen to run by each other during a big chase scene. And the original guy who started the ball rolling in a chase scene says to the other one, "Did you win or did you lose?" The second guy says, "I won, but then I lost." The first guy says, "Then I'm happy and sad for you," with a puzzled look on his face. And sometimes I say that myself to people who just told me two different things. I'm happy and sad for you at the same time. Samuel is satisfied and dissatisfied with Israel at the same time. The people of Israel seem to have forgotten all about the endless roller coaster of the leadership of the judges. Well, they're doing great, and then the people forget, and then they go down the tubes, and then they're happy, and then they go down the tubes. It's exhausting. Samuel is discouraged by their lack of faith in God because they're demanding a king in order to be in charge of the wars that must be fought on their behalf. He's discouraged. They don't believe God. But Samuel also knows that God is powerful and God is faithful to them in their wrong direction. He feels conflicted because he thinks having a king is, at its heart, totally unnecessary. What? They think the people should not have a leader to look up to? Yeah, that's about right. And if you continue to follow along in the story of the Torah, you'll recall that one of Moses' greatest themes is he's making you a special nation, Israel. He's making you a called out nation. He's giving you your own set of rules. You're going to be different from other nations. And one part of that difference is you're not going to have a king like the other nations. And the people think because they don't have a king, then that's why they're failing in their prime objective. Remember, they're now living in the land of Canaan, and they're trying to make it their land by driving out, remember, the Canaanites. That was their prime objective when they came across the Jordan with Joshua, but they're failing. They're failing to go ahead and fight the battles because of a lack of trust in God. If they will only allow him, God can be the only king they need. That means, in theological terms, their nation can be a true theocracy. Instead, the people want a king because they think if they have a king to fight their battles, that they are guaranteed to win those battles. All we need is a king. He'll be in charge of fighting the battles, and then we'll win. The reason why we haven't won is we're just not organized enough, and we don't have that top-down structure that we need. I'm sure that's the problem. They haven't yet figured out that God's leadership is what enables them to win, not the leadership of humans. Because remember the experience with the judges. Some of them were great leaders, but the minute that leader faded or died, then they go down in the pits again, and then they're down here in the pits, and then they have to have another leader to come and rescue them. So it's slide, rescue, it's exhausting. And so they think if there's a king where we know who's going to be the leader next, because if there's a king, the son will be next, and we'll be able to look for it and go, oh, you're a ruler now, and then you'll be the ruler, and then grandson will. I think we could look throughout history, now that we're way later in history, and tell them about how this didn't work out well. Most of the time, really. There were some good families who ruled countries, but in general, would not recommend it as a government procedure. Would you? No, we have people who are not connected by DNA, and they might do a better job. So Samuel, who is guided by God in this, he acquiesces. He says, okay, he will give over, that means Samuel, the day-by-day administration of this nation, because when you have prophet, priest, judge, and kingmaker, that's a lot of power invested in a single person, isn't it? Usually it would be nice to have a committee of people who had strengths in those areas, but at this point it's Samuel. And he's tired. He says, I'm old now and gray. He's ready to retire, except he has an inkling of what will happen once they accept the kingship of Shaul. Before he leaves, he wants to take an accounting with the people. And this is actually quite a long passage. He stands in front of the people right after Saul has been made king at the city of Gilgal. And for my students, they should be able to tell you in one sentence or less why Gilgal is an important city. It would have something to do with the basis of operations under Joshua as the beginning of the conquest takes place. That they were camped at Gilgal, and therefore it's looking toward that beginning time. We're going to begin again, and we're going to get the conquest done this time. All the tribes will take their own land, and all the tribes will get rid of the Canaanite gods and goddesses. That's what Gilgal represents. And so Shaul is crowned. They're all very happy, our passage says. And so after that, Shmuel says, listen, you people, I'm leaving. Now, let's just take an account. Have I ever taken anything from you? Have I taken any money from you? Have I taken any of your cattle? Have I taken anything from you to pervert justice, to gain, so I give you favor? And they all say, no. And you can almost see him going, good. So now I'm leaving. Why would he ask such a group of questions? It's almost insulting in a certain way. Well, whoever said that you were like doing these illegal and immoral payoffs and bribes and, you know, that someone could buy you? I think he's doing it because get all your complaints out now, because in about 5 years, you'll be wondering what on earth just happened to us. And I want you to understand, I did not do this for myself. Samuel says, I want all of you to say, you're free to go now. And he's not giving up the ministry. He's retaining his ministry. He says, I'll be here to teach you. I'll be here to pray for you. But I'm not going to be in charge of the day-to-day war preparations and governmental tasks that have been part of my bailiwick. In this way, this confrontation with the people of Israel, it's not a confrontation, it's more of a, and it's not a scolding, it's an accounting. He's taken an account, he's allowing the people to speak up. It is the link between this portion of Samuel's farewell speech and the position of Moses in the portion from the Torah, where when Korach and his buddies are doing their undermining thing, which is what they're doing, they're undermining the rule that Moses has had, and they're trusting. He's undermining the trust in them. It's a whole group of them, including some of the leaders. Moses says this to God, I did not take a single donkey from them. I did not do any of them any harm. So you can see how this confrontation with Samuel really rings true from the Torah passage where Moses is going, do they think I'm in this for the money? Do they think I'm in this for the power? Do they think I'm in this for the fabulous vacation plan? No, 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 no. You couldn't pay enough money to Moses or anybody to take the grief that he had to listen to in the wilderness, could you? And let's not be blaming them specifically. I think if you took any number of people from any century in civilization, there would have been the same problems. Yes? If you disagree with me, I'll give you some examples from my own personal life. Why are the people having trouble with their prime objective, which is to defeat the enemies within their land? That's what they have to do. Each tribe is charged with taking their allotment. You've been allotted this boundary in your land. That's for your tribe. Now it's your job, get going, and you're going to just take care of your plot of land. And if we all continue to do that, we will be occupying the land in a real and complete way. It seems pretty clear and to understand what's supposed to be done. Did it actually get done? No. Who was the person who actually finally got this task solved? It wasn't Joshua. He wasn't quite done with all of it. King David. It was King David who completed, how many hundreds of years is it later? It was King David who completed their prime mission, which was to get rid of the foreigners in the land and to get rid of the idols, the Canaanite idols, from their land. The people have trouble defeating the enemies, their enemies within their own land, because they don't trust the one who has the power to accomplish it. They don't trust God. This core reason is the same problem as it was during the leadership of the judges. They continued to worship the Canaanite idols, Baal and Ashtart, and there's a dozen others, but they're usually the famous ones. Instead of removing them from their midst, as they were told over and over, they trusted them. They went to them. Why would they go to Baal and Ashtart? Do you know why? Were they that bad? Yes, they were that bad. Well, what were they the gods of? Well, Baal, he was the god of thunder, lightning, and rain. When you are entering a country that does not have a giant river that overflows its banks from which you can get a supply of fresh water any moment you want, you're dependent on the rain, aren't you? It's the rain. If rain doesn't come, their land will dry into the equivalent of Rice Krispies. There will be no chance to grow anything, to grow animals, to grow food, to grow a family, to grow a tree. They'll be done. So rain is the number one most important need that they can't supply for themselves. Remember, a long time ago, they came from Egypt. Egypt had that river. They had the river, and they could count on the river to flood and to bring fresh water, and then to flood again the next year. There isn't any such river in Israel because the Jordan is not that river. It's a different deal. It doesn't flood its banks for the whole country. Jordan is not available for this kind of substance. They have to depend on rain. And so when you're in a land where you have to depend on rain and God seems far away, who might you turn to that would work for you? Remember, this is all about what works for us. God is someone who works for us, or he doesn't work for us. So the God who should bring rain, according to my good neighbor down the block, that would be Baal. And in a very handy way, not only is he the God of thunder, lightning, and rain, he's the God of war. So right there, you got those two needs. War and rain. Well, he's awesome. We should try him. He probably would work much better than this other guy. He's not too helpful to us the past years. See how enticing it is. See how, if you're unsure of your faith, you'll, yeah, I'll try it. What harm could there be? Well, we know the end of that story. Baal and his pantheon are specifically tasked with providing rain at the correct times. And that's why at the end of his talk, so he gives them that accounting talk, and he leaves them a proof that he is a man of God, and what he's telling them is from the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and he causes a miracle to happen for the nation there at Gilgal. He causes it to rain, and we're going, great, not such a biggie. I wouldn't write home to anybody about it. Rain, yeah, rain. That's really nothing, except for it was really big for them. I think some of you remember that I've told you that during the summer months, it is impossible for it to rain in Israel. Not that it's unlikely. From, I'd say, a couple weeks ago until the end of September, there is no rain. There's no rain. A year ago, when we went on our last trip to Israel, some of you remember, I posted it on Facebook, I saw a cloud in Jerusalem, and it was June. And really, I was John knows, I was in our hotel room and there's a cloud. I mean, a cloud was like this big. There's a cloud and it's not sunny out. And he came over, he goes, yes. I said, I've spent weeks and weeks in Jerusalem in the summer. There's never a cloud. There's clouds in the Galilee, but never in Jerusalem. It's impossible for it to rain during the dry season. If it starts raining during the dry season, as I pointed out when I posted my picture, the apocalypse is on the way, and you should be packing your suitcases. I was happy because we're already in Israel. We don't have to go anywhere. It's great. It's great. When Samuel has it rain in the middle of harvest season for wheat and for any grains is in the summer when it's totally dry. That is an important thing, even in modern day nations, even in modern day America. It's important for grain crops to be harvested when it's primarily dry. Well, why is that? Well, here's the first thing that happens. Especially if you have a more of a harder rain and not just a trickle, but you have a hard rain, as I'm presuming the one that Shmuel brought on came. Let's say wheat, if the wheat is ready to harvest, and so its heads are very heavy and they're bent over, and that rain will literally tear them from the top, which is normally a good process when it's not raining. And then you've got the grain of wheat, which falls to the ground. I think that's in other stories. And you've got that stalk. So the grain of wheat drops to the ground into mud, presumably, and it doesn't take but an hour or two, and that head of wheat will start to sprout. That is so not good. You have no concept. That is when fermentation is taking place. Dear Passover keepers, that's when leavening begins, when water hits a grain product. It will start to sprout. You could still use it, but it won't be good quality grain to grind up, because remember, when you want to grind this grain, you want to have it dry too. It'll make it that much easier to grind into flour. Then you also have the stalks, and the stalks are also incredibly valuable. Well, it doesn't have the wheat on it, why do you care? Because you use that as straw. That's what's called straw, right? It's a grain stalk without the grain. The grain's been harvested, you've got the stalks. And what do you do with the straw? You feed your cattle, horses, cows, pigs, whatever, they will eat it, especially when there's not a lot of grass in the summer. And we still do that modern day. Straw is used to feed. What happens when straw gets wet? Well, it also gets moldy. See, both things are going to tend to get moldy. We all know about how Leviticus talks about mold. Don't have it at your house. Get rid of it. It's dangerous. We'll move beyond. If you gather up the straw and you put it into bundles, or you put it into piles while it's wet, and the sun beats down on it in the heat of the summer, pockets of steam build up in the middle of the stacks of hay, and it will catch on fire spontaneously. It goes double for bales of hay. So the farmers still have to wait for hay to dry so they can bale it into bales and put it up in the hay mound up on the second floor of the barn. All this information is courtesy of my late father of blessed memory, but he's telling what he knew about. He's telling what he knew about. Spontaneous fires because you put the straw away wet. So now do you see maybe this rain, sudden rain in the middle of the dry season? It can be a catastrophe. So as he makes it rain, they're going, oh no! And they're realizing how bad this really is. And it took that much effort to get them to realize that they're on the wrong track. And finally, if you read the text, it says, we realize now that we've done something wicked by asking for a king. And I wanted to read to you specifically his response about this. Samuel called on the Lord. I'm in 2 Samuel 12, verse 18. And that same day the Lord sent thunder and rain. So all the people stood in awe of the Lord and Samuel. The people all said to Samuel, pray to the Lord your God. Wait a minute. What did I just say? Pray to the Lord your God. Another question from Passover. Who says the Lord your God and not the Lord our God?
The wicked son.
The wicked son says the Lord your God. That gives you another strong inkling about where they are. Pray to the Lord your God for your servants, so that we will not die. For we have added to all our other sins the evil of asking for a king. So finally, after all these sermons and all this talking and all this information sessions about the pluses and minuses of having a king, they finally get the point. So at its heart, when they are asking for rain, they go to the God that is going to be giving them rain, which is Baal. Except Samuel just proved they don't have to go to Baal for the rain. The God of Israel can provide rain any time he desires and any time that they need. Right? God is capable of doing it. He just sort of rubbed this idea in their faces. If you thought that our God was not strong enough or powerful enough or had reign in the purview of his activity, you would be wrong. You're depending on these fake, evil gods to bring you things that they can't even promise to give you. Whereas the God of Israel can and does deliver rain for you in a much better way than even Baal. They're substituting what's convenient, what they can see, what they can hear, what they can chatter about, for what is right, which is namely being patient and obedient and relying on the God of Israel. This is a message we still need to hear today, is it not? We cannot say, oh, we would never do such a thing. Well, maybe not these circumstances, but the idea of grabbing for a quick and easy substitute because we fail to understand how completely God is in charge and how completely he can help us, even though that help might not be on our personal time schedule, just like the rain was not on their personal time schedule. But God is able to give it. So they want to substitute Baal for the Lord. They want to have a human king to substitute for the heavenly king to fight their battles. They want to substitute another group of gods who bring rain instead of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But that God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, wants them to trust him and him alone. He's not the substitute. These other gods are a substitute. This is what furthered when, after people realized that they had made a terrible mistake in calling on their need for a king, and now they have a king, Shaul. And we all know the end of his story, don't we? And was it a happy reign, and he was fabulous with the people, and everything went great? He fought all those battles, and they won all those wars. No. No, 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 no. It is such a tragic story. The ending is so sad I wouldn't even want to give it during Shabbat. It's a terrible, terrible ending for Shaul. But we know the end, so we can't sort of we are sort of prejudiced against Shaul. Samuel says this, after they say, we have asked for a king, and that's yet another sin that we have committed. So that is good for them. They understand what the problem is. And Samuel implies this, I told you so. You people are inconsiderate, and I'm just leaving you here to wallow in your drowned straw and drowned wheat. So bye-bye, I'm out. Remember, I told you, Samuel knows. He knows how they're going to be treated, even though they've done badly. Do not be afraid. You have done all this evil. That's true. Yet, do not turn away from the Lord. Instead, serve the Lord with all your heart. Do not turn and follow after useless idols. They can do you no good. Nor can they rescue you, because they are useless. The major prophets are going to take up this song and sing many verses of the same tune. Though they look like gods, but they're just pieces of wood. They can't really help you. They're a substitute for the one true God. For the sake of his great name, the Lord will not reject his people. What did Samuel say? The Lord will not reject his people. But they did all this bad stuff. Yeah, there's a whole list of things. They're horrible. They're much worse than we are. So they got set aside. No, Samuel says, the Lord will not reject his people. And as the Lord was pleased to make you his own, God is still pleased with his choice. If that's not grace, I don't think I understand what grace is. As for me, Samuel, far be it from me that I should sin against you and sin against the Lord by failing to pray for you. He commits himself not to turn his back and walk away because they're hopeless. He says, I will be here. I will continue to pray for you. I will continue to be involved. And I will teach you the way, this is Samuel says, I will teach you the way that is good and right. He's willing to stay with them. He's not going to be in charge of government. He's not going to be in charge of warfare. But he will be in charge of the spiritual life of the people. He will still be there. He'll still be living at the tabernacle as long as he can. And he will continue to be their spiritual guide. But he says, be sure to fear the Lord and serve him faithfully with all your heart. Consider what great things he has done for you. Yet if you persist in doing evil, both you and your king will perish. Well, does that mean he's going to hell? No. It means they'll perish. It means they'll die. Just because one generation does not follow the law does not mean the law doesn't work, and so we throw it away like an old Kleenex, and then we have it's a new creation. No. If one generation or one king or one group of people don't follow the law, that does not negate the law. It negates those people. The promise continues. See how that works? The promise continues. Whether you sign up, whether you re-up, like in the army, it'll continue. It doesn't depend on you. The covenant depends on the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's the one for whom we should accept no substitute. And boy, are we prone to do that, just as they were. Just as they were. It's still important for us today. We must exhibit trust in God, even when it seems like he's not doing anything, or conversely, he's not powerful enough to solve this problem, or he's taking a nap somewhere until something happens in the world. I think these people could finally tell you that it's not true. Just because he doesn't answer things on our timeline does not mean he's not at work. It doesn't mean that he doesn't care. It doesn't mean that he's not grieving. It doesn't mean that he's not seeing how we are trusting in other things, whether humans, whether spiritual, whether it's stuff, whether it's money, whether it's prestige, whether it's power. He sees us trusting in all of those things. And yet, he's patiently waiting for us to realize that they're substitutes. They're substitutes for the real thing. Trust is not just a matter of wishful thinking, but it needs to be based in action. What kind of action? You're probably saying. These actions begin with purposing, making a purposeful statement, a purposeful intent to follow God's wishes, to follow his ways. But it's not just wishful thinking. That alone doesn't work. Remember, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is not just the God of your brain. He's also the God of what you actually do in real life. Not just in, I believe in God, and then everything you do says you don't really. You're just saying words. These actions need to begin by following the one true God, by worshiping him alone and relying on him alone, even though it's much easier to trust in something or somebody else to make it okay better. It's not perfect, but it's okay because I'm tired of waiting. Worshiping him alone and gratefully working to accomplish his decrees and the things that he's told us. Accept no substitute of the God of Abraham, for the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He is fully able to do everything. In fact, far beyond all we ask or can even imagine, as it says in the book of Ephesians, he's able to do. Let's pray. Avinu Malchenu, our Father and our King, you are a great God, and it's a privilege to serve you. Help us as we go forward tonight, tomorrow, into the week, that you would measure our path, you would show us the steps you want us to take, that you would give us strength, you would give us wisdom, you would help us to feel your love and your strength, that we can serve others. Show us those to whom you want us to reach out. Show us the ways we can do it to be the most helpful. Show us how to be helpful in the appropriate ways for the appropriate people, whether they're part of our family or not, whether it's Shabbat or not. Help us to continually reach out to others. And we thank you and praise you that you are so faithful, we can't even imagine how faithful you've been to us down through the centuries. And we continue to look to you to be the beginning and the end of our story of faith. B'Shem Yeshua Meshachenu, in the name of Yeshua, our Messiah.
There's coming a time when there truly will be no substitutes for our God. We anticipate that time as we join in pages 102 to 107 for the Elena, as we look forward to that time and commit ourselves to working towards that time. We face Jerusalem yet again, and we respond. Pages 102 to 107.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'kol, v'ateinu l'yotzeh bereshit, shelo asan b'kol ha'rasot, ve'lo samanu k'mishkol ha'adama, shelo samkainu kahem, ve'lo aleinu k'kol ha'olam, ve'anachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ ומושל ידו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אין את מלכנו ופסולתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת היום בהשבותה אל לבביך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים נברא ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. It is incumbent upon us to praise the Master of all, to exalt the Creator of the world, for He has made us distinct from the nations and unique among the families of the earth. Our destiny is not like theirs, our calling is our task. We bow down and acknowledge before the King of Kings that there is none like Him, for He stretched forth the heavens like a tent and established the earth. Truly there is none like our Lord and King. As the Torah says, you shall know this day and reflect in your heart that it is the Lord who is God in the heavens above and on the earth beneath. There is none else.
We hope, O Lord our God, to soon behold your majestic glory, when all abominations shall be removed, and all false gods shall be at an end. Then shall the world be perfected under the rule of the Lord Almighty, and all mankind shall call upon your name. For to you every knee must bow, and every tongue declare that you are God. Reign over us soon and forever. May the kingdom of David's greater Son be established forever. For then shall the words be fulfilled. The Lord shall be king forever, and the Lord shall be king over all the earth. And on that day the Lord shall be one, and his name one. Bayom habu, Yeh Adonai Echad, Ushmo.
You may be seated. Now, some of you may remember, if you were here for Shavuot, that we did our usual Shavuot tradition, and that was to recognize new members. Now, not all of our new members were able to be here at Shavuot, and we've recognized one or another of them since then, and I want to recognize one more who's here with us tonight that we need to welcome formally into our membership, and that's Sandra. Sandra, please stand up. Yes. Sandra, of course, has greeted you tonight and does so periodically. Thank you so much for being part of our family. Now, speaking of the family, we have on the back table the rough draft of the long-awaited and long-promised family directory.
Oh.
Just for you.
Oh, it's wonderful.
However, before we publish it, we want to make sure we got the information correct. So please take some time to look at it. And if you don't have your information correct, let us know. Or if you know of someone who should be in there that's not in there, tap us on the shoulder and let us know. So we need your help on that. Now, some of you are also aware of the fact that over the last couple weeks, in a sense, we've gone live as we've live streamed our services. In keeping with that, you will have noticed, some of you, that we have a second cameraman among us. And he's sitting, or actually standing over in that back corner. That's Brooks Gibbs, who's waving at us. Brooks occupies the office on the second floor and is doing some wonderful work in the beginnings of a congregation as part of that. But he has offered to us his services to help us be even more effective in going live. So he's been involved here tonight, and he will be talking perhaps to some of you and just asking you how the synagogue has impacted your lives. So that's what's going on. That's where we're at. There's all kinds of other things going on, but that's the reason we put all those inserts into the bulletin. Please read them and take advantage of them. With that being said, please rise as Richard comes to lead us in receiving the blessings God has promised to extend to us. And then we will have a time of conversation in the O&A room where we can get caught up on what God is doing in our lives. And there's at least one couple we really need to get caught up on, and that's Art and Betty, who are back with us after 10 years. 3 months. Yeah, it's been a while. So it's good to have them back with us. So, Richard.
Our God and God of our fathers, bless us with the threefold blessing. Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu, Barachenu, Baracha HaMashiach Hashem. Yivarecha Adonai ve'yishmarecha. Ya'er Adonai b'navlecha v'yechunecha. Adonai b'navalecha, v'yasem lecha shalom. May the Lord bless you and watch over you. May the Lord cause the light of his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face toward you with favor, and may he grant you peace. Shabbat shalom.
One other thing, please take some time this evening to say goodbye to Jeremiah. This is his last evening with us. He has been relocated by our friends in the armed forces. So he will only be part of our virtual community. So make sure you get a chance to say goodbye to him before tonight's out.